Hello, hello, hello. I think that I am on here. Wanted to jump on really quickly, really quickly, probably 3 to 5 minutes. Wanted to start coming on live to share some frequently asked questions that I get asked about becoming a transaction coordinator. I know it's late, but the replay will be available. So if you're joining me, please let me know in the chat where you're checking in from, as well as let me know if you're catching this live or on the replay. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Courtney Rozier, and I teach women step by step how to grow and launch their TC business from start to finish. Um, Without overwhelm and without a real estate license. So I wanted to jump on. Everybody wants to know what a TC does exactly. So basically, a TC is the center hub that keeps everyone and everything as it relates to a real estate contract on track. I hope I'm looking at the right camera. Um, so what does that entail? That entails sorting out the paperwork, managing broker compliance, tracking deadlines, organizing files. Realtors are extremely overwhelmed doing this, and actually having to face clients every day. So this keeps them from keeps them from having to do this, as well as try to do income producing activities. So this takes that off their plate, all of the paperwork off of their plate, so that they can actually make money and actually help new clients. So that is pretty much what we do. So we're the central hub, and we basically manage every facet of the contract to close process, from the moment the contract goes binding to closing. So we are actually, I like to call ourselves chaos coordinators, because yes, sometimes real estate transactions can be chaotic. They're not all smooth. So it's us at the helm making sure that things are actually getting done. So let me tell you a little bit about a typical day in the life of a TC. So number one thing that you do, we get contracts overnight. Again, real estate agents are extremely busy. So a lot of times they're spending their days showing properties, writing offers, and things like that. And then that offer may get accepted at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. So once that offer is accepted and it goes binding, then they will email that contract to us and the other parties of the contract to get everything started. So once we receive that, we go through what we call an onboarding process. And so basically, the first thing that you do with the onboarding process is you advise all parties of the next steps. And I do that using a template that I created, an email template that basically formally introduces me, introduces who I am, what I do, who I'm helping, which agent am I helping. I inform the client, which is the buyer or the seller, what they need to do next. So if it's the buyer, I'm advising them on their next steps, which is generally how to go about turning in their earnest money and things like that. It's extremely important, in my opinion, that everyone is on the same page and understands expectations. Confusion breeds chaos. Again, that word chaos. So I believe in spelling things out from the jump, and it just cuts down on a bunch of questions. The way that our role is, and as you increase in your role and you get more clients and you're working with 30 plus contracts at a time, it's important to leverage your time. So you're not going to have time all the time to be answering the phones, fielding questions, and things like that. So I go ahead and anticipate what the questions are going to be, and I answer that in my onboarding email. So again, the first thing that I do is send that intro email out. I go through the contract and review it, make sure all the signatures are there, and then I upload it into my agent client's broker compliance system, as well as my own system that I use to track all of the dates. Now, tracking milestones, that's going to be the next thing. So that's onboarding. So I'm uploading it to the broker compliance. I'm adding the milestones to a simple Microsoft Outlook calendar for myself as well as my agent client. And from there, that's onboarded, right? So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to track the milestones of my existing contracts. So contracts, regardless of the state that you're in, will include important dates and milestones. And as well as any special stipulations that are spelled out and agreed upon by the buyer and the seller. So these are the items that we as TCs are checking. So I'm responsible for making sure that those things get done. I'm not necessarily responsible for actually doing those things. So I am kind of the gatekeeper in the middle saying, hey, this is due tomorrow. Can you send me a copy so that I can send it to whomever or so that I can upload it wherever? So I send those, I'm reminded using our calendar, and I send those reminders to the proper parties that need to carry those things out. So some examples of that would be the earnest money due date. We're going to be checking with whomever the earnest money holder is to make sure that they receive the earnest money on the due date. The due diligence period, if you're in a due diligence state. Not all states will have this, and I can go further into that, but this is just a very broad and quick and dirty live on kind of what we do. So the due diligence period, I'm reminding the agent the day of, hey, the due diligence period expires today. Will there be an extension, or has there been an agreement reached with regards to any repairs? Finance and appraisal contingencies. Has the buyer's loan been approved? Has the appraisal come in? If it has not, when is it due? Those types of things. Sorry, I'm reading my notes. So those are pretty much some of the things that we're tracking. Sometimes in the special stipulations, it may be stipulated that the seller is going to pay for the buyer to have a home warranty or a termite inspection. This is not on all agreements, but you have to make sure you're reading the contract to know what is agreed upon. And if that is in the special stips, you want to make sure that you're tracking that and that that's on your list. So I will tell you that for the first 2 years of my business, I use paper checklists that I created to track these items. And it worked just fine until I got to a point to where I was just doing too many at a time. But I was using a paper checklist to track the milestones, as well as the Microsoft Outlook calendar to remind me of the dates. So as I scaled my business, of course, I upgraded to a software that provides more automation for me to help in this case. But I just want you to know that you don't have to spend a lot of money to get started as a TC to track these items. All right, so let me see. My next point that I want to make. Okay, so overall, those are the two main things that a TC does from day to day. They're onboarding new contracts, and they're tracking milestones for the existing contracts. They're scheduling closings and things like that. We're basically the point person for the transaction. We work with all parties, from the lender to the closing attorney to the title company to the co-op agent, and buyer and seller. So we're making sure that those things are getting done. I do have a course called the TC Playbook, as many of you know, and I would be remiss if I did not mention the football reference when describing the role of a TC. And it's crazy because I'm not even into football. I don't even follow football, but my vision for the course was always a playbook. So one night I explained my vision to my husband, shout out to my husband, and kind of explained to him what I did as a TC and had him draw on my whiteboard an actual play, like a football play, to explain in layman's terms kind of what position I play in the world of real estate transactions. So anyway, back to the play. A play, by definition, is a strategy used, strategy used to move the ball down the field to get to the goal, okay? So as a TC, that is our role. We are supposed to take the ball, which is the contract, down the field to the goal, which is the closing table. So in the case of football, I would say that the real estate agent, which is our client, they would probably be considered the quarterback, and the TC would be considered the wide receiver. So again, I'm not that big into football, but I do understand. I think that the quarterback throws the ball to the wide receiver, and the wide receiver has to run that ball to the goal, but not without their share of offenses that get in their way that could potentially keep them from the goal. That is our job. Our job is to take that contract and make sure that the things that could cause an offense, like the things that we have built in the contract to protect the buyer and things like that, where they can terminate things, that we are tracking the buyer's earnest money, making sure that they never lose their earnest money, working with the agent to guide and help them help their clients. So that is kind of what we do to get to the touchdown, which is the closing table. That is a really quick and dirty way of explaining that. Hi, David. Nice to see you. I am on an app that is not really on Facebook, so I'm sorry if I'm not looking in the right camera and all of that stuff. I've got two lives going simultaneously. But anyway, I just wanted to, again, touch base with everybody and just give a really quick and dirty idea of what you can expect as a TC, what a typical day would be like. It's a very quick and dirty description. I would love to continue the conversation in my free Facebook group, which is the Work From Anywhere movement community. So just go search for the Work From Anywhere community. I need to put a link probably in the comments to get to it, and you're welcome to join the group, and we'll continue the conversation there. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I hope you have a good night. Bye.